Welcome everyone to Clear Your Chakras with myself, Meg Linton from Watch Your Language. If you are watching this video, I want to personally thank you, of course, for reading and purchasing my book, Watch Your Language. Obviously, this is one of the courses from it, or I've either sent it to you as an attachment. So welcome. It is my heart and soul to be here to share this conversation with you all on something that truly changed my life, and that is learning about our internal landscape and understanding how our thoughts, our dialogue, and our emotions has a physiological reaction in our body if we don't allow it. Now, I have spoken in the previous video on the intro as to what we'll be covering for the chakra course. Now, please go back and watch that if you have not yet watched that video. These videos will be 40 minutes, no less, no longer, 30 to 40 minutes. I want to keep it short and sharp. In this course, I dive into the very basics, right? The very basics of the chakra system. There are many, many others out there that know way more information than me than this. I'm sharing what has helped me on my own journey of 30 years of disordered eating, self-sabotage, thoughts such as judgment, comparison, and hello, thank you for jumping on, judgment, comparison, and competition. And I have been able to shift it to self-acceptance and compassion. And it was getting to understand my nervous system, getting to know my chakra system and the connection between my mind and my body. And it was also getting to understand my brain. There are many, many components, as you know, if you've read my book, Watch Your Language, that have landed me now in this space where I'm in today. A place where I always get emotional when I talk about this, but a place where I experience so much gratitude for being alive. I look at my body and I just see love. I see imperfection and I'm so proud of it. And I just am so thankful to be here. It never ever used to be like that. And it's something that I just have so much gratitude for. And every day I learn more and more about my body, and the more that I learn, the less that I know. This is my favorite furry friend. Her name is Lily, and she's actually drenched, which is lovely. But she will join me on some of these chats as well, the best we can to fit both of us on this couch. So we'll see how we go. So today we're talking about our root chakra. Now, I mentioned in the previous video that we're going to be discussing the 7 major chakras today. I will be sharing directly from the notes in the course because I'm a huge believer in repetition. And when you see and hear something consistently and repeatedly, it's easier for it to go in. So I want to share directly from the notes so that what you are seeing here is what you will be reading once you receive the notes as well. All right. So as I mentioned before, our chakra system is like spinning balls of energy. It's like the wheels of a car. If one of the wheels falls off, then we go around in circles. So my intention with this course, Clear Your Chakras, is to find balance, to find equilibrium. When we are in a state of equilibrium, we are in flow. Our bodies are intuitive. We can make decisions. We sleep better. Our digestive system is in a state of ease, and I go into that more in the Free Your Flow course in Ayurveda. But things work, and we're able to be present to make a choice. And that's what I had to do with my dialogue. 30 years of self-sabotage and disordered eating. I was constantly on repeat and autopilot because I was living in a state of reactivity. I was repeating the same thoughts. I was speaking the same shitty self-talk to myself, all the time. And I didn't know how to interrupt it. I was busy all the time. I was overwhelmed. I was constantly living a fast pace. And of course, what we practice grows stronger. I speak about the Be Here method in my book, right? Body, emotion, heart, empower, respond, not react, and energy. Those 6 steps help bring us back to presence and empowering ourselves with this knowledge so that we can actually understand when things show up in our bodies, like what we're about to discuss here in the root chakra. we can actually say thank you for showing up, right? So for showing me what it is I need to heal. This is what I want to really ingrain in this course, that we don't have to judge the things that show up, right? We're going to go through some of this stuff and we're going to be like, oh my goodness, wow, that's triggering, or that's showing up in my body. Let's not judge it. Let's not criticize it. Let's actually go, you know what? Thank you for showing up bloatedness. Thank you for showing up back pain. Thank you for showing up constipation, so that I can possibly see if there is an emotional link to this, right? Where I might be able to actually dive in and do the work, what I speak about in my book, What's Your Language, so that you can feel, to heal, to release it, right? It is all about freeing this energy flow. If our energy centers are blocked, right, and we are stuck, practicing the same, or giving ammo to the same fearful thought or dialogue, then energy is going to stay stuck, and that is going to be the manifestation of inflammation, sickness, and dis-ease. Now, today, as mentioned, we are discussing what's called Muladhara, the root chakra. I'm going to just give a brief overview. As I said, I'm going exactly off the notes, so that you, hopefully this resonates when you are putting this together, and you can also watch this video and with your notes in the same sequence as well. Now, Muladhara, we will firstly go through the elements. So the element of this chakra is earth. All right, it is exactly that. It is this roots down, right? It is this beautiful grounding energy. The element is earth. This chakra is blocked by fear, right? And look at the world we've all been living in, right? So I know I've got viewers around the world. The world we've been living in at the moment, fear has just been the dominant energy, hasn't it? Where we are the opposite scale to love, right? And this is what we need to come back to. Love is our natural state. I talk about this a lot in the book. I'm not going to go into it now. But this chakra is blocked by fear. So if we are constantly living in fear, you might notice that some of these physiological and emotional and mental states that I'm about to go through are possibly showing in your body. But what a beautiful gift to acknowledge the fear that we're experiencing and give ourselves permission to turn that fear to faith. Right? So it is responsible for feeling grounded, for our survival, and our sense of feeling home within ourselves and our relationships. And a few more. I'm going to go into that in a moment. The location is at the base of the spine, travels down the hips, think of even into the legs, the knees, right down into the shins, the ankles, the foot, and the toes. Now, for many of you know, I'm a movement teacher at Infuse Health at Adamstown. Movement changed my life. Now, because I went through 30 years of disordered eating and huge anxiety and busyness and overwhelm, I was very ungrounded. I have a lot of Vata energy, so a lot of high, fast-paced energy. Again, I'll talk about that in the next course, Free Your Flow. So I needed to put my roots down into the ground and feel safe, right? So this chakra for me, it was very much out of balance a lot of the time when I was going through my mental health struggles with anorexia, bulimia, self-sabotage, and body dysmorphia, right? So I'm going to continue rolling through. As I said, this is the very basics of what's going on, and we're going to go through what we're going to experience, what it feels unbalanced and balanced, mentally, physically, emotionally, and then of course what we can do to release any blocked energy in this area. Now, of course, on my website, I offer coaching in and around this as well. It's again, if this does spark a thought within you and it's deep-rooted stuff and you're ready to work with it, get in touch. I have a few coaching positions available as of May. So hit me up if this does resonate with you. I do a 6 or 12 week individual one-on-one coaching program. And there'll also be a group coaching program starting also from May or June after the book is released. So let's get into it. This is, the color is red. It is our root chakra, our base chakra. Again, location, base of the spine, right down through to our feet. The blockage is fear. Its attributes, of course, it is linked in with survival, right? Our relationship that we have with our ourself and our body and with others, how safe we feel. It is also our link to abundance, connection to ourselves, how grounded we feel, how safe we feel, our relationships, our jobs, our family, our friends, our connection to Mother Nature. It is our roots down into the earth. Okay, so if any of that is flipped on its head, let's talk about the pandemic for a moment. All of us were affected by that, so we actually feel like we had our roots lifted up out of the earth and literally flipped on its head. A lot of us lost jobs, a lot of us had to move house, a lot of us have had a complete upheaval. All of us have in some way or another. So it's very natural and normal at the moment. We're sort of coming, the wave is dissipating at the moment. I don't feel we're at the end of it. I kind of feel like we're at a bit of the eye of the storm of this whole thing, to be honest. So what's really important is doing this work now so that if we do get upheaved again, which is more than likely to happen, this is life and we're in a pandemic, then we need to know what to do to establish our roots down to into the ground so we can keep our nervous system, right, regulated and in equilibrium in order to keep ourselves well. This is what this is all about. If we're living in a stress state continuously in our survival mode, fight, flight, then we are actually on the road to sickness, disease, inflammation, and worse. So if this chakra is unbalanced, and I always start with the imbalances because this is what we notice. All right, we're going to be holding on to too much earth energy, right? We'll feel stuck. We're going to feel heavy. We're going to feel like almost buried into the ground. We're going to feel unmotivated. We're going to feel like it's really hard to get out of bed. We're going to feel depressive. The extent to that, of course, is things such as deep dark depressions, eating disorders, things like that as well. It's a feeling of helplessness, right? So we'll feel unbalanced. We might be unsteady on our feet, right? We might be running into things often. We might find that we can't keep our feet on the ground in many senses, not just in our bodies, but we might find that we're struggling to hold relationships down. We might find that we're struggling to hold jobs down. We're feeling like we're constantly looking for, what's wrong? We're constantly looking for something new all the time, right? To make ourselves feel stable or wanted or accepted or to feel safe, okay? It's really, really important. This is like our right? This is really important. This chakra is our right to be here. So if we are experiencing a lack of self-love or unworthiness, or we feel we don't have a right to be here, then we're going to feel very, very unbalanced in this chakra, okay? I think you just fast forwarded a few pages there. All right, so we will have a depleted sense of self. We will lack the ability to move forward. We will feel stuck in a rut, right? Again, too much earth energy, too much stagnation, cool? Our blockage in our root chakra is disconnection, unworthiness, fear of receiving. As I said, this is our right to be here. If we don't feel we have a right to be here on earth in this moment, we are not going to receive. We are going to be a people pleaser. We are going to strive for perfection. We are going to try to be liked by others. We're going to search for validation outside of ourselves, because what we're needing to fix is this internal space, but nothing on the external is going to fix what we need to do ourselves and the work, right? Lack of desire to give to the self. So constantly giving to others, right? Constantly giving out our time and energy, saying yes, for not being able to set boundaries, not being clear on our boundaries, right? We're going to lack this sense if this is out of balance. It's basically, this chakra is linked in, and I'm not going to go too deep. I go deeper into this into coaching because it's again a huge part of it. But this is linked into our birth, right? So how were we held as a child? How was our time when we were in the womb, especially the final trimester? And how was our time when we were birthed? And this is not to bring into judgment, it's just saying it as it is. But if we were birthed into an environment where we were not wanted, or we were not nurtured, or not held, or not being in the space of our mother, then that's going to be deep-rooted trauma. That is going to affect this chakra. So this chakra, the age is linked in, of course, with our pregnancy, with our time in the womb. to about the year of 1. Right. So, and this is our time when we are fully needing to be nurtured. We're needing to be held. We can't speak. We can't ask for ourselves. We are reliant on the nurturing of who we have around us at that time. So if, again, if possible, we didn't have that solid nurturing at a time, again, this is not to judge, it's just to be aware, then it's quite possible we are going to feel the trauma of this stem throughout our lives until we're aware of it to do something about it, right? So this is our old belief patterns, mainly from childhood, our parents and their patterns that can be passed down. This root chakra stuff is big stuff, right? Again, it's that age developed in the womb to about 6 months to a year, right? And these lower chakras, like the root chakra and sacral chakra especially, really tie in with our learning patterns as well of creating and establishing our paradigm and our program, right? Our program sense of beliefs. They say in the Jesuits say, show me the child until he is 7 and I'll show you the man, because this is where we're developing our program. So our sense of belief, our sense of what's real, what's not real, what's wrong, what's right in our worlds. And then we take those beliefs and our paradigm of program and then we move into life. And we continue that like I did, right? Until we then are present and aware that this paradigm and program is not actually right or real for me anymore, to then do something about it, okay? So this is how we're treated as babies, nurtured, looked after, whether or not we might have been abandoned or left as a baby, or not held and loved the way that we could have been. Again, it's just bringing awareness to this sense that may have an effect now and again. If any of this is triggering, which it definitely could be, I want you to just stay open, write down any of things that are coming up. You'll have the notes anyway. And then it's from that space that we go, okay, thank you for showing up. All right, cool. I need to give myself that permission to go back to that inner child and nurture, forgive, give compassion and love and kindness, and know that that story is not true for you anymore. And it's from that place that we can move forward, right? We're going to also feel physically, we're going to feel stuck and rigid. That might be holding into our body on 2 ways. We might carry excess weight because we just don't care. We're in a state of helplessness. We're like, whatever, what's this life about? We're feeling dark, we're feeling depressed. Or we go the other way like I did and develop an eating disorder where we hardly hold any weight. We kind of are in that sense of like, I don't want to hold much space here. I'm not worthy of holding space, so we just don't eat. So it can go one of 2 ways as well. Again, this stagnant energy is thick, dark, depressive, heavy. And it, again, what we practice grows stronger. So it's just aware of what we can feel if this chakra is out of balance. So psychological effects, I want to touch on this for a moment. Again, I know that we're sort of moving through this, but I could talk on this for hours, and I go into a lot deeper into coaching. So we're going to experience insecurity. We're not going to feel safe. We'll feel unbalanced in our mind, super scattered. We won't be able to make a decision to go somewhere, or we won't feel the right to speak up as well and say, you know what, no, I need to say no to this or set a boundary, or I'd prefer to go there instead, etc. We have a lack of confidence. We're obsessive, anxious, depressive, and can't make decisions, tending towards addictive behavior. Okay, so we of course then look for things to numb or run, and I talk about this a lot in my book, as you know, from the emotions we don't want to feel. So a lot of the stuff that has unfolded from this region in our root chakra, they're deep rooted beliefs and limiting stories that we've held on to for many, many years. And when we're triggered in our environment, right, when something triggers this samskara, as I spoke about in the intro, if you don't know what a samskara is, you've hopefully already read my book. I go into that massively. I talk about it in my other course, and I've also shared what a samskara is in the intro. It is an impression, right, that we have held on to. It's something we've clung to or something we have resisted in our past that we are unwilling to feel, okay? So when we're triggered in our environment and it triggers this samskara, this impression, we then have this energy rise up from the chakra, and it's uncomfortable and it's unpleasant and it makes us reactive. So this is where the numbing or running comes in, and this is where we become addicted. So as you know, I became addicted to not eating. That was my numbing from the feelings that I didn't want to feel of not being enough. Cool. So we're living in our heads, not in our bodies. Okay, it's easier to live up here again because we can hover above the surface. We can create a story. This can be very real, whereas down here the thoughts, the feelings and emotions are etheric, and we feel them, and sometimes we don't want to feel them, so we live up here. Yeah. So we self-sabotage, like no care to do anything. Like life is like, fuck, this is so dark. This is so depressive. I've got nothing. And I know that post-COVID, a lot of my clients are feeling this as well. And I've been through that too, 100%. And it's just recognizing that in our bodies as well. Okay. So again, this can be excessive also, as I spoke about before. So holding on to too much weight, again, a lack of self-care, overeating, overindulging, overstimulating, using devices to stimulate ourselves and to hover above the discomfort of what we don't want to feel. We look for approval of others, validation from comments on our social media, whatever that might be. And we lack the approval for ourselves. And same thing if we're looking for that in a relationship, we might look for another person to complete us, or think that when we lose 10 kilos, I'll be happy when kind of stuff. But it actually has to come from within in that sense. So physically, of course, I mentioned the location of this chakra. So we will, of course, notice things like low back pain, diarrhea, pain in our groin, tightness in our hips, because that's stuck, stagnant. And of course, if you are sitting down a lot too, that's going to affect the physicality and the movement of the hips. Problems with the groins, the low back. I experienced low back pain for, so I'm going to say 12, 13 years, very much linked in with my root and sacral chakra. I will tap into that a little bit more as well. Louise Hay, in her book, You Can Heal Your Life, also associates low back pain with shame and guilt, financial struggles, self-worth as well. And it's just be aware of this stuff. Again, it's, I don't know enough to be right. None of us do. I'm sharing the information that's helped me from my teachers from hundreds of years on this information that has been around for thousands and thousands of years. They knew something back then. All right, constipation, knee problems, sciatica, exposed veins, imbalance in the body. All right, so just big problems with digestive issues, toes, feet, unsteady, plantar fasciitis, tight calves, poor balance, muscle and bone degeneration. Right. Also things such as inflammatory diseases and sicknesses and things like that, such as fibromyalgia, autoimmune, things where literally our digestive system is just stuck and unhappy and things aren't moving. Arthritis, plantar fasciitis, and foot pain. Whew. So this, again, I'll just go into this part here. If we are experiencing any of that, again, I mentioned at the start of this, I want you to start to see it differently in everything that I'm going to mention in these videos. One of the most incredible words of advice that was offered to me, and I share this in the book, What's Your Language, was from a gentleman called Simon Thakur from Ancestral Movement. I was at a movement camp in Newcastle 3 years ago now, and he said, when things show up in your body, such as back pain or knee pain or whatever it might be, say thank you. Say thank you. And I, in the moment, I was like, what? Like, I was in back pain then, and I was like, I was a little bit pissed off, to be honest. And then I sat there and I thought about it, and I said, I've been pissed off with this for 12 years. Every time it shows up, I get angry and I get frustrated, and it makes it worse. Tension only creates more tension. He said, say thank you. The energy of thank you right, is so powerful. I'm just going to segue. So I talk about, again, this in my book, but I'm segueing because it's really important. Now, Dr. Masaru Emoto did studies. It's called The Hidden Messages in Water. And he's dead now, but this information he shared is so profound. He did an experiment with science and the words and the dialogue and thoughts that we think and speak, and how that has an effect on water, right? He basically took two separate times where he spoke to water and he had thoughts, right, of judgment and shame and I hate you and you're ugly and I wish you would die to these water crystals. And he snapped photos in that moment of what the water crystals were actually doing. And he also did the same with the energy of love, compassion. I think you're beautiful and thank you. And the crystals, right, to the ones that he spoke with the darker energy, with the lower vibrational energy, they formed a messy structure. They were all over the shop. There was no equilibrium to them whatsoever, right? But the ones that he said thank you and that high vibration of love and compassion, they formed perfect crystals. And what are we? We're water. We are mainly water. So if we say thank you to something that shows up, thank you bloating, thank you hip pain, thank you knee pain, right? Can you visualize for a moment how much better that feels? It's there anyway, right? It's showing up anyway. You may as well say thank you. So this is how we start to recognize this, to come back to that be here method. Body, my body is doing this. What is the emotion attached to it? What am I fearing? Right? What am I scared of? Right? Thank you, body, for showing up, right? Thank you, bloated. Thank you, knee pain. Thank you, foot pain, right? What is the emotion attached to this, right? And then what is it my heart needs? I'm going to start to tell myself a different story, okay? So it's really, really interesting just to acknowledge this stuff without judgment, so that we can, of course, do something about it, right? So what we want to look into here, we want to do our best to clear this out, right? So we want to recognize the things we fear. So this is where being present is really, really important. So when our body tenses or when we notice things such as I did before, there is an emotion behind that, okay? So I want us to come back to that be here method and say, I see you, body, right? I see you back pain, or I see you bloatedness. I see you constipation. I feel you emotion, all right? What am I scared about? Why is my body tensing up? Why am I going into this fight flight sequence? All right, we've got to do our best to turn that fear into faith. So the affirmation I want to give you for this chakra, when you are experiencing a blockage in this energy and in this region, is I choose to turn my fear into faith. I choose to turn my fear into faith. You always have a choice. We can either continue to feed the dragon of fear and judgment and self-criticism and blame, or we can become present to acknowledge what we've been experiencing and to actually make the choice to choose again, to go, you know what? I've held on to this long enough. I've held on to this fear long enough. I've held on to this belief that I'm not worthy long enough, right? I've held on to this old story of not feeling empowered to be here long enough. It's now your time to change it and create a new story. So to stimulate and clear this chakra, that is your affirmation. I turn my fear to faith. Now, you all know how big I am on affirmations. And again, I speak on that. The method is in the book, right? It is your 20-minute practice to repeat the affirmations to yourself first thing in the morning when you wake up. I want you to write this down in the comments. I want you to give me a yes in the comments below in this video, or what your affirmation is. What is your intention that you say to yourself every single morning? How do you lift yourself up? I want you to write that down in the comments for me right now and let me know. And what we can do for this chakra, so movement for this root chakra, right? We need to ground, right? We're feeling ungrounded, we're feeling unstable, we're feeling scattered, we're feeling not in our bodies. We need to get in our bodies. So meditation, movement practice, like getting on our hands and our knees, yin yoga, right? Breath work, meditation. I said that. Meditation, I'm going to say it 5-6 times. This is what you need. You're going to think, I can't meditate, I'm too busy. Meditate more, right? And I don't mean anything massive, but 5-10 minutes a day, sometimes in the morning, sometimes at night. Sit down, be still. This chakra urges our attention. It wants us to feel grounded, safe, secure, settled. But if we are constantly on the go, one thing after another, right? We're constantly in doing in our beta brain. We are just going to feel more scattered. We're going to feel more aloof, which is going to bring more tiredness. We're going to feel exhausted. We're going to feel overwhelmed. We're going to feel the need to be perfect. And guess what? We're going to lack desire for life. Slow down. Get outside in nature. Ground. Get out of your shoes. That is a whole nother conversation. On my website, I have, of course, up for grabs. It's super cheap. It is the Foot Health Immersion, where you can learn just how important your feet are for the whole overall functioning of your mind, your body, and everything that comes in between. If you're having problems with your feet, your hips, your low back, you got to look at what's going on with your feet. We were not designed to sit in chairs, and we were not designed to wear shoes. Anyway, totally different conversation. Stand on the grass and say your affirmations in gratitude. Every morning, right, before I do my thing. You know my morning routine. 5 minutes, I lie in bed, I say thank you. I repeat my affirmation to myself. I repeat it with emotion, right? I feel it in my mind and my body, and then I get up and I write it down and I read it, and then I look in the mirror and I read it to myself, and I'm like, cool, thank you. I get to have today. I have 2 feet and a heartbeat. Right? And whatever that affirmation is, it usually comes true at the end of the day. But I also go stand outside in nature in bare feet, and I experience the wet grass or the dry grass, and I say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I get to have today, right? Just be. Release the need to do. This is how we bring our root chakra back to a better balance. And then, of course, the work. We need to do the work. We need to understand what that fear is all about, right? What is that childhood belief that we've held on to, that, you know, where we don't feel safe, or we feel that we just blend into the background. We need to then dive in and do the work. And my hope and intention is that I've provided the tools to do that in my book, What's Your Language? Again, I do personal coaching in and around that. Everything needs to be talked about. Everything. I will be always open about that. If we can come from a place of honesty, vulnerability, to be raw and authentic, we can then address things as they are. Nothing, right, should be stigmatized. Nothing should be shamed, and nothing should be feared. We are all humans. We are all one, and we tend to pedestal one another, right? And this is where the problems start, right? Let's talk about everything. When you are ready to do the work, it will find you. Someone will find you. You read a book, you'll jump on here, you'll do a course. And this is where we start to unravel those layers, right? So that affirmation for this root chakra that you can start with straight away. Write it on your mirror. Write it on your car. I don't care. Get it tattooed on your arm. Whatever. I choose, because it's a choice. I choose to turn my fear to faith. So when we notice the fear pop in, your body's going to close. I talk about it often in the Be Here method. It's going to close. You're going to have a somatic response in your body when you feel fear. Guess what? That is your permission slip to soften your shoulders, right? To ask the fear the question, well, what is this about? Thank you for showing up. All right, I need to honor you. I need to listen to you. What is the story behind it? And that's when we can jump in and do the work and start to unlock this root chakra that is the basis, our roots down for our survival, for our grounding, for our self-love, our nurturing, and to come back home. My name's Meg. I'm from What's Your Language. Thank you for being here. I so appreciate it. If you have any questions, pop them down below. Please like and subscribe. It helps me to help you. And jump over onto my Instagram page, watch.ya.language, for all my workshops coming up as well. As you know, I have the Perfection Pandemic workshops stemming across Australia from May 2022. right? Jump over onto my website, again, watchyourlanguage.com, to be a part of the Watch Your Language Perfection Pandemic Workshops. If you or your teens or your family, your husband or anyone has ever struggled with perfection, and especially with the rise of Snapchat and selfie dysmorphia these days, it is everywhere around us, but I promise you there is something we can do. But I need your help. So join me on these workshops. I'll put the link below. Remember, guys, as always, watch your language. Your dialogue, your thoughts, your words, and your actions are up to you. And when you change yours, you give permission for another to do the same.